And what's interesting about that is now that some youth are beginning to learn about their history, we need to learn about our history to empower ourselves, and it's our bloodline. It's our bloodline to get back. The right of return is still in our blood. And what's interesting to me is my mom, when she's looking at me getting involved in political activism with my communities and other youth, she starts to think, I don't want another Nakba. We got the Nakba in 48. We got the Nakba in 67.
Right.
I don't want another Nakba. And so it's interesting how that word is being used with my family members in terms of Palestinian youth in the diaspora. We don't want another Nakba. We're worried about getting kicked out again from wherever we are in our diaspora.
Right.
So I just wanted to return to that about how that word is used in particular to youth activism in the United States.
Okay, well, I'm going to take this moment to invite our viewers to ask any questions of Nadeen or Ziad by calling 415-621-4473. 621-4473. If you have any questions, feel free to call. Let's talk a little bit about U.S. policy and the settlements. Obama very recently demanded that the new president Netanyahu cease building settlements and stop expanding the so-called natural expansion of settlements. Will you address that issue?
Within the same week, I believe it was in June, when Obama addressed the situation of settlements. At that same time, Benjamin Netanyahu approved the establishment of 300 new homes and 60 already being built. And
300?
300 in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. At the same time, there's an organization, actually an Israeli human rights organization, that researched this further, and there are about 1,400 new homes that are ready to be built. And according to Netanyahu, he says, oh, this is called natural growth.
Right, that's the term I was looking for.
More than 500,000 Israelis who live in these settlements amongst the 2.5 million Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. They're saying natural growth as in they're going to have families, they're going to naturally grow, which is still illegal because they're building more settlements, they're building more homes to fit those families.
And we have a call. Hello, you're on the air, I hope.
Yes, hi.
Yes, and your question?
Yes, I do. My name is Kamal Hassan, and I am a Palestinian refugee. My parents were born and raised in Haifa, in Palestine, before 1948. Then I was forced out as a refugee, as the guest that you have on. What I'd like to them to touch on the 11,000 unforgotten Palestinian prisoners rotting in Israeli jails with no recourse whatsoever.
Good point.
And the whole world is talking about that one Israeli soldier. You know, it's mind-boggling.
Yes.
And the other part of the question, I would like them to tell us who is going to stop the Israeli aggression? Who has the power to stop the Israelis? It seems like they're unstoppable. There are atrocities all over.
Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you.
Just one on political prisoners is definitely an issue. There's more than 11,000 Palestinian political prisoners. Some are children.
There's about 3,000 children, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are about 900 political prisoners who haven't had any visitation for the last 2 years.
Oh.
So that's definitely a situation I think you wanted to...
Yeah, actually, the issue of political prisoners, thank you for the question, and I can say the political prisoners issue in Palestine, it's ignored by the international community. It's ignored totally, and to be honest, even it's ignored by the Arab world, and part of our leadership actually ignoring the political prisoners issue. But 11,000 political prisoners, yes, in Israel.
We have another call coming through.
Yeah, but to answer this question, since 1967 until now, Israel arrested over 700,000 Palestinians as a political prisoners since 1967 again. Since 1967 until now, over 700,000 Palestinians.
They're trying to catch up with the United States.
Yes, and most of them, just from the people living in West Bank and Gaza Strip. And Israel, they invent their own persecution styles. They open jails in the desert, and still they torture and invent their own styles. We have the administrative detentions, like people stay in jail without any trial. They send them just for secret files. We have women in jails. We have children in jails. We have people tortured until death in Israeli jails. And we don't need to forget that Israel, one of the main states in the world, legitimized the torture until death in Israeli Knesset, in Israeli
They tortured people to death
yes,
in
until
Israeli
death,
prisons.
and it's called Lindau. Me personally, I experienced the jail many times in my life. Of course, I can't say about this because many Palestinian political prisoners, they spent in jail a long time. Right now, we have over 100 Palestinian political prisoners. They spent in jail over 20 years. People speak about Mandela. We have one Mandela. But in Palestine, we have many Mandelas. We have right now 2 prisoners. They finished 32 years in Israel as political prisoners.
Yes.
And they face this kind of torture. They can't visit their families. They are far. And they try to destroy them. Yeah. The idea, the whole world about Gilad Shalit and Gaza Strip. Anyway,
Gilad
in any
Shalit
case,
being the
Israeli soldier, yeah, which they are in Gaza, but Israel refused to deal with the Palestinian political prisoners as even according to the human rights. They don't deal with the Palestinian people as a human. They don't respect the Declaration of the Human Rights, all of this stuff.
About 1 in 4 Palestinians have experienced prison.
The other questions you answered, I believe the only people will stop the Israeli aggression is the Palestinian. And since 62 years, my brother or my friend, since 62 years right now, Israel couldn't stop the Palestinian struggle. So, and we'll continue our struggle. And this is such kind of commitment because no one will accept oppression.
Right. And we have another call coming through. Did we catch it? Or
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, there's a phone.
Yes, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was ever going to be anything done to the people who are really the criminals, and that's the ones who, like, almost sunk the Liberty ship and stuff like that, you know, and nobody's even investigating the spent uranium that is being used and the phosphorescent bombs, and they won't even allow them to investigate what has happened, you know, and the type of warfare that if we are using, you know, the only place that our military is being checked out is down in there's one military group down in New Orleans that is being investigated for the spent uranium. They won't even our troops are being contaminated with this stuff, and they're giving this stuff to the Israelis to use, and it's not right.
Right.
That they're allowing this, and the real criminals aren't getting prosecuted.
Right. Well, we got your point, caller. Let's let our guests address it.
There's going to be a rally